Well, hello there. My name is Mr. Cleefish, and I've been teaching here at Rockford Public Schools for this will be my 31st year. Started a long time ago, obviously, but I started in the middle school, and I actually graduated from Rockford High School back in 1985. Got my teaching degree from Aquinas College, got my math major, PE minor, and boy, it's been just an amazing journey. Just absolutely love the profession. Very challenging decision whether or not to come back, but I decided to come back. I just still love it. And without further ado, let me just introduce you to some details about this. First of all, two other teachers that are teaching the same subject, Mrs. Holbert and Mrs. Heisinger. And I think they wanted that out there because you might have them for the second trimester also. And they're just great. Mrs. Heisinger is a first-year teacher. Mrs. Holbert's been here quite a while. Mrs. Heisinger is just extraordinary with technology, so major props to her. Mrs. Holbert does a great job as well. She's been here quite a while. I don't know how many years, but the class that I'm speaking of right now is pre-calculus. And just so you know, pre-calculus is just a fancy word for trigonometry. Those of you who went to school back in the 80s, there was a class called trig. That's what this is. And they gave it a new name, I think, just to give students the idea that this is a really, really good idea to take this in preparation for calculus. It just gives people the idea, aha, I need to take this in preparation for calculus. This is a college prep course, and that means it's going to be a little more, well, a lot more rigorous than good old Algebra 2 was. Algebra 2 wasn't too heavy. Pre-calc is just going to be new. And I don't want to intimidate you on this day, but students, when they took Algebra 2, it was built on Algebra 1, so they had a lot of familiar language territory. Pre-calc is not going to be that user-friendly as far as like a whole big resource where I'm building on. This is going to be brand new from day one. Graphing calculator, something that has sine, cosine, tangent. The ability to convert things from radians to degrees, degrees to radians is recommended. Something unique that I'm rolling out, and you're going to be able to access this, your sons or daughters, is what I call the Prelesson. So my career, what I've done is I've looked at the lesson being taught, the new information that's expected for the students to understand, the new information. And then I ask the question, what is it that this lesson assumes these students understand? And that's the catch. So what I do is I don't assume. And what I look at is I look at what is it they need to be fresh on? What is it that needs to be really, really strong here before they can even understand what I'm piling on top of that? So when you go to Schoology, you're going to see what I've called a pre-lesson and then a packet lesson. A pre-lesson is going to be all the stuff you're supposed to know going into the actual lesson. Now, the packet lesson is where we actually just do the sample problems from the packet. That pre-lesson is so valuable. And I've been told, like, keep those kind of short, but in pre-calculus, I got to do what I have to do. So sometimes there's two parts. There's part one, part two, just because it's so necessary to spend some time building the foundation before I pile on the rest. So be prepared for that. And beautiful thing is, if the student doesn't understand, they can rewind it, watch it multiple times. I would have loved to have that back in the day. Two resources that we're going to be using, of course, is Google Meet. That's pretty much across the whole district. And that's how we're going to do our live streaming during your class time. But also, I'm going to be using Schoology. I'm going to have to go to Schoology to communicate with you and your son or daughter. But that's also where the the pre-lessons and packet lessons and the quizzes and potentially the tests are going to be found, and other resources as well. And as far as grading goes, just going to kind of stick with the program here. Homework, I'm going to just check that when students return, and I'm going to communicate that to the students during the Google Meet. It's expected that they do it, obviously. There's going to be the homework assignments in their packets, and the packets are going to be available as a link, and I'm not going to make a paper copy, a hard copy. That'll be available for them when they return. Now, if we don't return, we're going to have to do something about that. My wife and I have already got a little plan up our sleeves to meet you at Rick's at a certain, we'll give you 2 or 3 times, we'll meet you there for those of you that need a copy. You can print it yourself, but man, oh man, there's like 100 pages in these packets, and that's double-sided, so really 200 pages. But homework, yeah, you can definitely take a homework grade one way or another. Quizzes, just finished my first quiz for the pre-calc class, and those will be done on Schoology while we're away from school, but hopefully when we return, we'll just have the old classic paper copy quizzes. And then, of course, tests, same thing as quizzes. This will be taught in a flip format during these first 3 weeks. So students are going to be responsible to watch the YouTube videos that I'll have available on Schoology, and then do the homework, and then basically that time we spend live on Google Meet will be spent just answering questions, a lot of Q&A, and hopefully we'll spice things up a little bit too. So their faces just aren't staring at the screen, but I gotta get creative on that. This is new for me too. So a little grace both ways, and we'll be good. So looking forward to it. I really am. So take care. If you have any questions, you can give me a call here at school, 863-6030, extension 7223. You can also see my email address just so we can keep the communication lines open.